So without further ado, I would love to bring up Ms. Drocella to share her story with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm very excited to meet you all with virtual hugs. I am a hugger. I cannot wait to meet some of you soon. So if you can learn, you can earn. Before I go into my story, I want to let you know that Bridge Refugee Services has been in business since 1982. Some of you might not know who are refugees. Refugees are people who are fleeing their countries because of persecution based on race, religion, political opinion, or they are escaping wars and violence. While immigrants choose to come or to go somewhere they want to go. Another category of people we serve are special immigrant visa holders, who are those people who served to our US military in Iraq and Afghanistan and were targeted because of serving our troops in those countries. So I would like to invite you to experience the refugee journey with me. I invite everybody to stand up, being in your room, in your office, or in somewhere where you are now. I just want you to leave and run out of your door as if your life is threatened to death. And then we'll come back in 30 minutes. Let us run. Thank you for your participation. I think you have different feelings. Some of you didn't grab your purses. Some of you had children in rooms and didn't communicate. And just you had to escape without just the clothes on you. And this is how the refugee life is. You just escape to save your life. And we are thankful that America has that life-saving program. I am here today because my right to speak that was stolen was restored again. You will learn that by standing on my faith, going through a lot of personal and professional development, networking, and building relationships helped me a lot during my struggle on my refugee journey. The last time I was on the Rwandan soil was in 2008. And before I fled, a couple of weeks before, I heard a song keep coming in my mind. Nyagasani ni wowe roho yangirangamiye, mana yanjye ndakwiringiye, sinzakorwe n'ikimwaro. If I translate, says, God, I trust and believe in you. Don't put me ashamed. And I didn't know what it was meaning. But while I was boarding on airplane in 2008 and being pulled over, talking to me, telling me that a CEO needs me. And I did ask, who is that CEO? Where is he? Without answer. So I started to call the leaders and say, I'm pulled over from airplane, what's going on? And nobody answered me, let alone that guy told me you can board back on airplane. The only thing I had to do was just to recite my rosary with me and say, just God, you promised to save people who are calling upon you, just save my life. So I cannot tell you how terrified I was. I couldn't wait for airplane to take off so I can breathe. So I fled and went to Uganda, where I was supposed to attend a conference as a consultant, and did not sleep for 2 days. And asking myself, what is the future of my life? And then I decided not to go back because I have had many threats in the past. And 3 men came to help me. Maybe one friend, old friend, recommended them to me. And the first one started to ask for gold and money, and I didn't have any money besides the money I had to pay for hotel. And then days passed, and he didn't help me. The fear, the anxiety started to develop. And fortunately, other 2 strange men took over, and I just followed them. They could have raped me, they could have kidnapped me or killed me. And thank God it didn't happen. So I remember one time I was confined in a small room, dark room, with a bucket, so there was no bathroom there. And they were closing from outside, so I didn't have a key, but I was just praying. So my weapons were the Bible and my rosary. And so at the end, they connected me to the United Nations High Commission of Refugees, and I started to do interviews. After all, they told me that I would come to US. At that time, for 1 year, I didn't talk to my family, and my youngest daughter was 12 years old when I fled. So my husband came to America 1 year after, and he applied for asylum. And I couldn't see my children for 2 years, so they had to go to Kenya to process in order to join me. And I'm very grateful that America facilitated the family reunion. So my kids missed school for 1 year, academic school. And all the time when we were able to speak, when they were in Kenya, they were asking about schools. And I say, just pray God for family reunification. They are best school in America. When they come, you can find a good school to go to. So they went to Catholic high school. And then after Pellissippi Community College, UT, LMU, East Tennessee Foundation. And then my husband had to go back to school, even if he was a banker for 12 years. You know, by American laws, if you come here with a college degree, you can not even ask for a financial aid because they say you are seeking for a second degree. So he had to go back and borrow more than 40,000 so he can have an accounting degree. So all those children graduated, and they are now my coaches. So they are giving back. And as Catherine said, I have a beautiful grandson, Elliot. So I cannot be proud of my son and my children. So, and I thank all the teachers and professors who helped them to get to that level. So Bridge helps me to find a job. And the first job I found was at Goodwill Industries. And I tried to find professional jobs several times. I think probably I did apply for 100 positions, but sometimes it was frustrating because I couldn't find a place when I can put the college I went to. So many websites in 2009 were built for Americans. I hope that now things changed. So, but even though I didn't go to my professional career, I started to learn about my community, go to different trainings, networking, and I'm like in school, in business school. Even I don't have to borrow money to go back to school because I have a free business school. And I have best coaches. I remember Alliance for Better Nonprofits. They did find a mentor for me as an executive. And Chris Crouch is my mentor. He taught me about the drama triangle, where we have not, sometimes we think as victims. I no longer think as a victim. I am a creator. I can achieve a lot because of that network of people I surrounded myself. After one story, so I can communicate with them. They would talk and I say, I am the only one who can help you. And then people will pay attention, and then we'll move on. So, but I just paid attention how Americans speak and then how they respond to the question. So next time I can imitate them. Another thing which happened. So when I was telling people that I was waiting for 5 children, people say, 5? And then they were terrified, probably thinking that they will be dependent or something. And I said, what's wrong with Americans? Children are good, you know? And now you see how these children are, blessing our country in many professional careers. I tell you guys, I am so thankful because even if I went through a lot of struggle, God knew that I was needed here because one lady who was in a wheelchair, one time I gave her a compliment. I said, "Hey, you look good in that dress." And she told me, within 40 years, nobody told me that I was beautiful. Another lady who is 50, who was autistic and had a challenging behavior, knew me by, was talking everybody by name among the coworkers. But for me, she would say, "Mama." I say, "Why does she call Mama?" Maybe I did a different thing for her in her life. So before I conclude my story, I just wanted to share with you few lessons learned from my past story of being a refugee, but also on my way to integration in American culture. As you feed your body, feed your spirit and your soul, and be patient, persist, persevere, and never give up on yourself. Build networks, circulate in new groups, and seek to understand. Embrace your past with grace. Forgive yourself and forgive others. Find yourself a mentor or an accountability partner. Learn about your strengths. Strengths-based approach improves your confidence, direction, hope, and kindness towards others. Learn how to communicate with tact and diplomacy, and master the language of the industry you are in. Start your day right, from bed to the first place you go after you wake up. What is in your bathroom? What inspires you in the morning? And last not least, stick to your values and don't let anybody pull you down. If mindset change, impossible becomes possible. So I am so grateful and I'm thankful that you were listening to me. Open to your questions, but as I say, I'm a creator. I'm no longer a victim. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so we're just going to switch over to the Q&A function if you have a question to ask Drocella. I believe over there, once someone asks a question, if you have the same question, you'll be able to upvote it. So we'll be able to get all the most popular questions going. Drocella, thank you so much. That was really incredible.
Thank you.
I've never had the pleasure of hearing you speak before, and that was just a really amazing journey.
Unless I write a book, so it's just an episode of, a bunch of things.
Yes. Okay, so do we have any questions? I think they're all still trying to catch their breath and catch up to present day. So we have a question here. What got you through the separation with your children?
What? Can you say it again?
Yes. What got you through that separation with your children?
It was horrible. You see, like when you are a mother and you provide for your family and you have to live without even communicating. So because they were just waiting me to come three days after coming from the conference, because I have traveled all over the world in the 20 countries, and all the time they were waiting for their mother to come, and I didn't come. So I think when I was in Kenya, I could communicate with my sister and explain to her what happened to me. And I say, I know it's a big burden, but take care of my children. And what I learned from them is that they were asking my sister to tell them if I'm alive. So they just wanted to know if I was alive. And then when they come here, I felt like I had to tell them, sorry, I didn't abandon you, but I had to flee. And my youngest daughter told me that Mama, don't worry. You did the right thing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Drocella.
You're welcome.
Another question we have here is, what can we do better to welcome refugees here?
So it's having that welcome spirit. First of all, I will say to be educated about why people are coming here and educate our community. And you can give not only in kind, because every refugee gets only $975 when they come here for 3 months, which covers rent, utility, so and furniture. So we cannot do it by just the federal government. So we are requiring some community resources. You can befriend a refugee. You can, if you belong to a church, a social group, you can become like a community assistance team, and you can mentor refugees. One of the things I missed when I got here, I yearned to find a mentor because I wanted to go to find like a professional career or professional association, so you can become a mentor. And I know there are many also people who had businesses back home. I know a lady from Iraq who wanted to do a restaurant. Probably if she had a mentor to navigate with her, she can get her dreams real. Mm-hmm. So there are many ways you can be a volunteer. We always need for volunteering, and you can do transportation. You can welcome them at the airport. You can teach them American culture. I never forget, like the person who took me for her cookouts, first of all, and who taught me how to cook a turkey. I am a turkey expert in the house because when I cook it, everybody eat it up to the bones. So there are many ways to volunteer, and we have a volunteer management personnel who can guide you about what you can do.
Thank you. Another question we have is, who is the biggest inspiration in your life and why?
I think Nelson Mandela is. When I started to be engaged in politics, you know, really what attracted me in politics, I think I wanted to use my Christian values to see how I can make a difference and influence decision. I like to take decision. I like to be a leader. So Nelson Mandela inspires me because no matter the suffering he went through, he was the great leader. He didn't revenge, but it wanted to unite people. And no matter the divisions you have, no matter, it's like me, I'm free because even the people who made me to be here, I forgive them. And I think those kind of leaders who have, in French they say, grande dame, who have high level of thinking and tolerance, this is why he inspires me. Besides Mother Teresa also is another one.
So someone asked, you mentioned your faith is something that gave you and still gives you strength. Do you find that having and practicing a sense of gratitude gives you the same strength in a similar way?
Yes, I have a habit of journaling every day. And at the end of the night, I am thinking about what I'm grateful for. And recently I learned a skill. I was just listing, I'm grateful for this, for this, for this. But recently when I was trained, they told me to add, I'm grateful for my daughter because. So, and then when I started to do that, it gave me a deep level of thinking and appreciation and go beyond just listing things. So yeah, it is.
That's awesome. Here's another popular question. What is an observation you had or currently have of Americans that we as Americans maybe aren't aware of?
I like, there are things I like from Americans. Of course, I like the education system, free library system. I like the national parks free. You can go in the back home, you have to pay. And I think Americans should be more open to the world. And if I was the Minister of Education, also I will maybe ask just people do not learn the languages for learning them, but probably practicing them. And I would also, sometimes we do not appreciate what we have and the freedom which is in America. Some people take it for granted. So there are many things people should not take for granted. And also I would encourage people to probably learn about what is happening in the world. I was thinking before that CNN is like a national TV. And when I got here, it was not, my perception was wrong. So, but I know my husband every morning, he has to go to everywhere to know what is happening in Asia, Europe, Africa. So I think being open to the world and more can help many to learn about what is happening and why this situation, because what we struggle here is that people do not understand why refugees coming here. But when you explain, you educate, after that, you have plenty of support and resources.
Thank you so much. We'll do just one more question. Unfortunately, a couple of people missed exactly why it was that you had to flee your home country. Would you mind explaining that again?
It was because of my opinions. So my political opinions were challenging decisions from political leaders. So my outspoken values were challenged, and then my life was in danger. I had to flee.
Okay. So, well, I'm glad you're here amongst this group of women now, because we will support your outspoken opinions no matter what they are.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't tell you about also how I appreciate the community support. When my children got here and I wanted to buy cars for them, so I have been told that we cannot get car loans because of our credit score was low. So if I was back in Africa, because I didn't owe money to nobody, I could have those loans. But fortunately, a family friend from my church co-signed for me, and twice. They just trusted me, and all the cars were paid off without having them trouble. And many people would say even that the parents could not sign for their own children. So we were blessed, and we are very thankful for the community support. My family benefited from since we were here until now.
That sounds like the best way we can support refugees is just by acting like kind, compassionate, open-armed neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, according to our schedule here, it's time to turn the tables and allow you to ask a couple of your questions. And once Drocella asks her questions, we'll actually come back into table mode, and everyone will be able to have a small discussions just with their tables around those questions. And we'll do that for about 10 minutes or so.
Thank you for your participation and your moderation.
Yes, thank you, Drocella, for being here today.